I hope you all enjoyed the Christmasified intro right there, but as you can tell, I'm now decked out in my legendary Spyro Christmas jumper, and in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, the channel icon has changed to my traditional Christmas one, so all of that can only mean one thing. It's time for the 12 Days of Skylanders.
This year marks the 10-year anniversary of Skylanders Trap Team, but rather than celebrate on the day of the game's release 10 years ago, instead I decided to leave the celebration until Christmas Day. This video is now a celebration of 10 years of my favourite game of all time, as well as the debut of the third season of the 12 Days of Skylanders. 2014 was an interesting year for the debut of a new Skylanders game. Skylanders Trap Team was available on literally every device available at the time. We're talking Nintendo Wii, Wii U, 3DS, PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. The game even launched on the iPad for Pete's sakes. They had entire trailers dedicated to marketing this. But the most interesting platforms for its release was the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Both of these consoles had only just launched the year prior, so Trap Team's predecessor, Skylanders Swap Force, was a launch title for both consoles, but it came 1 month after the initial release of the game itself. So due to this, Skylanders Trap Team was the first time that the game was available on these systems at the launch of the game in of itself. Due to not as many people owning these consoles as they did a PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360, supply for the game on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One was extremely scarce. But over the past 10 years, more people have gotten their hands on either a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One console. New consoles have even been launched since then, those being for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, both consoles of which are backwards compatible, so the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of every Skylanders game can be played on their respective current gen consoles, meaning that the PlayStation 4 versions can be played on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One versions can be played on the Xbox Series X. This has led to increased demand for these games on those systems, and in the case of Skylanders Trap Team, it's a physical only game. You can only play it with a game disc. These game discs aren't being produced anymore, so the only supply that's left are those that were initially created for the game's launch. This has led to Skylanders Trap Team on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 being high in demand but having low supplies. This has driven the price to get out of hand. In fact, the game is now worth more than what it was at retail at launch, so it's gone from £60 to well over £100 in value. And that's for Skylanders Trap Team on either the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One.
And that leads us nicely onto the giveaway I'm going to be doing for the 12 Days of Skylanders. Now, last year I gave away Lost Imaginite Mines, and I figured that there's not really much I can do to top that. But what I'm going to do instead is that I'm very fortunate in that I own both a copy of Skylanders Trap Team on the PlayStation 4 and on the Xbox One, but very few people have that luxury, so to say. Even now, still in the year 2024, I receive comments from fans who really want to experience the optimized versions of these games, especially now that they own the most recent consoles, but they've been unable to get their hands on these games for a decent price. And I want to change that. I want to share the experience of this game in its most optimized form with all of you. So what I'll be doing to celebrate both the 12 Days of Skylanders as well as the 10th anniversary of Skylanders Trap Team is that I'll be giving away a copy of Skylanders Trap Team to one lucky winner.
The contest is open worldwide, however the winner will be receiving a European copy. Luckily both the Xbox and PlayStation consoles are not region locked, so you'll still be able to play the game no matter what region you live in. The winner will also choose whether they receive the PlayStation 4 version or the Xbox One version of the game. To enter, simply subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, and leave a comment asking to be entered into the giveaway. The winner will be announced during my Skylanders Trap Team livestream for the 11th day on January 4th, 2025. As for the rest of the 12 Days of Skylanders schedule, you can see it on screen now. I hope you enjoy the festivities ahead, but for now, let's turn our attention back to Skylanders Trap Team. As I mentioned previously, Christmas Day isn't the exact 10-year anniversary of the launch of Skylanders Trap Team, but I'm sure for most of you, this is, however, the 10-year anniversary of you actually having gotten the game itself. Not everyone had the luxury of getting Skylanders games at launch, and some of us may have needed to wait until Christmas before we got our hands on that year's game. If this was you, just take a moment, close your eyes, and let it sink in that it was exactly 10 years ago today that you unwrapped the Skylanders Trap Team Starter Pack. Man, you cannot tell me that does not feel at least the slightest bit nostalgic. I myself got the Starter Pack at launch, which is an interesting story in and of itself, but we'll get into that later in the video. For now, I want to celebrate what it was I did actually get for Christmas 2024. From my cousins, I got Fistbump and Wildfire, since those were the two Trap Team characters I was most excited about getting, and I couldn't shut up about them, so my cousins knew exactly what to get me. I also received plenty of spending money from my other relatives, and just before Christmas, Wave 3 of the Skylanders Trap Team figurines had just been released. Using my Christmas money, I bought Jawbreaker, as well as a triple pack containing Cobra Kadabra, Batspin and Hogwild Frino. This was an ideal triple pack for me because I never got the Series 1 Frino during the Swap Force era, so this triple pack offered 3 brand new Skylanders that I had never played as beforehand. This means that what you currently see before you was my Christmas haul of 2014, so today I'm celebrating 10 years since I first added them to my Skylanders collection. But what kind of celebration would this be if I didn't get even more nostalgic? The lead up to Skylanders Trap Team for me was the most exciting of any Skylanders game. The Skylander boy and girl were uploading more than daily at this point, so I was constantly binging through their content and waiting for the newest updates on the game. I even watched the announcement videos pertaining to the game on repeat, even though those early gameplay showcases weren't accurate to what the final game looked like. For one, the villains had health bars rather than timers, implying that originally they were meant to work much more like traditional characters than what they turned out to be. It's interesting to think about all the changes the game must have gone through during its development cycle. Originally, Toys R Bob wanted to keep this game in line with the previous 2 Skylanders games that they had developed for, where you wouldn't be able to jump, those being Spice Adventure and Giants. But Vicarious Visions had already added jumping into Skylanders Swap Force, so Toys R Bob had to rework the game to add in jumping and follow in those footsteps that Swap Force had left behind. But just because something was in Swap Force didn't guarantee that it would return in Trap Team. The prime example of this was unfortunately a battle mode. By the time Skylanders Trap Team released, there was over 80 unique characters. Balancing this out for PvP is a seemingly impossible task, and the Trapmasters were specifically designed to be more powerful than all the other Skylanders. By making them bigger toys as well as more valuable in-game pieces, the developers were able to push their price in retail to £15 rather than the usual £10 that the core characters remained at in price. Trapmasters were not only more powerful than regular Skylanders, but they also gave villains increased timers, and they were the only characters capable of opening elemental gates. That is what I meant when I referred to them as more valuable in-game pieces. Cores were really overshadowed by this, and it's clear that the cores in some cases were more of an afterthought in this game, which is a shame because the game actually introduced us to some of the most intricate and powerful core Skylanders the franchise has ever seen. These characters were phenomenal both in design and gameplay. Even the minis wound up being overshadowed, despite them being a key point in the marketing of the game. Going back to the Skylander boy and girl that I mentioned earlier, they made entire videos dedicated to the fact that sidekicks were being brought back for this game, but this time they were being called minis, and they were full-fledged characters that you could play as. Their movesets were the same as their original counterparts, basically meaning that Spry had the exact same moveset as Spyro. However, with them being smaller and more maneuverable, it did make them more viable in combat situations compared to the large, bulky giants such as T-Rex and Ingenie. I was extremely excited for the game all of the same, and this continued all the way up to launch. In the UK, Skylanders Trap Team launched on October 10th, 2014. This was a Friday, so after finishing school, I quickly returned back home to pick up both my birthday money as well as my pre-order receipt for the Skylanders Trap Team. Me and my sister then took a bus into town to pick up the game, but when we reached the checkout, I was told about an exclusive opportunity to join the Game Skylanders Club. You could only do this with a purchase of £60 on Skylanders items, and being only 13 years old at the time, I wasn't exactly spending that much money on Skylanders all at once that frequently. The Skylanders Club guaranteed exclusive offers and rewards to members, so I'd get discounts on Skylanders, and with so many purchases, Game would send out free Skylanders stuff. Naturally, this wasn't something I wanted to pass on, but I needed someone over 18 with me to sign me up for the program. Both my parents were still at work, so the staff kept all of my things to one side for me, including the Bushwhack Trapmaster and the Trap Triple Pack that I had picked out. And when I returned to the store the next day with my mum, I got signed up for the program. But shortly after, a new problem arose. I bought the starter pack on PlayStation 3 because only a few months prior, I had saved up all of my money and bought a PlayStation 3 console from eBay. At first, the console worked just fine, but by the time Skylanders Trap Team came out, the console had become faulty. I beat Skylanders Trap Team once, but after that initial playthrough, my console would overheat after only 5 minutes of playing the game, and that would cause it to turn off, completely ruining the experience every single time I went to attempt to play through Skylanders Trap Team. I'd turn it back on, only for the same thing to keep happening over and over again. This meant that when I got my hands on a new triple pack that included Chopper, Bunny Bone, and Sure Shot Shroom Boom, I couldn't play them in Skylanders Trap Team without my console turning off after 5 minutes of playtime. This left me for 2 months not being able to play the game entirely, but this leads back to Christmas Day of 2014. Whilst my cousins may have gotten me new Skylanders, my parents instead got me a Nintendo Wii U. On Boxing Day, it's tradition for us to visit some close family friends and spend the night with them, but they only had a Nintendo Wii, but their son loved Skylanders just as much as I did, so naturally he got Skylanders Trap Team for the Wii that Christmas. When playing with him, I saw that inside the box there was a code. This code allowed me to download the entire game for free on my Wii U. It was designed to be an upgrade gift so that you could enjoy the newer version of the game when you upgraded from your original Wii console to a Wii U. My Traptanium Portal from PlayStation 3 Starter Pack even worked with this game, so now I had access to the full game again and could actually enjoy all of the new Skylanders I got for Christmas. The download took 30 hours, but it was worth every second because I have never been so excited to boot up a digital game in my life, and it paid off when I learnt that this was the full game I had downloaded. It wasn't just some demo or some trailer, no, it was the entire game, and on that day, I played through all 18 chapters in one sitting with a massive grin the entire time. This entire experience certainly was a huge roller coaster of emotions for me, but that's what made the outcome so heartwarming, and I will never forget the experience. I hold on to it quite fondly, in fact, and as for the game itself, I think we all know what makes Trap Team so special. Love it or hate it, there is no denying that Trap Team does not play like any other Skylanders game. The glitches are often harmless and quite funny to watch them fall before you. Others take a great deal of skill and precision to pull off, creating a skill ceiling that speedrunners need to surpass to become top runners of this game, and those who do become top speedrunners of this game are an absolute pleasure to watch. Obviously, these glitches need to be seeked out and you won't come across them through normal play. Skylanders Trap Team also has some of the best level design I've seen from any game period. The levels and the boss fights maintain a balance of pure, unadulterated fun, as well as difficulty to keep you engaged along the journey. It helps that the game moves at an extremely fast pace, much more so than Swap Force, which was more of a slow burn, but that was good in its own right. You can't get bored of this game. You can so easily boot it up and enjoy it on a casual level, or you can feel the immense pressure and challenge of a nightmare run. This difficulty really keeps you on your toes, but it makes it all the more rewarding whenever you do come out victorious. The game does have problems with how you need to buy so much to experience everything. I mentioned earlier in the video that elemental gates were now only accessible by Trapmasters, so now you need to buy at least one Trapmaster of every element and at least one Trap of every element. On top of that, there are now 10 elements to account for because for the first time in Skylanders history, 2 brand new elements were being introduced, Light and Dark. And for each of those elements, they got a brand new Trapmaster, a brand new Core Skylander, and a set of 4 villains as well as their own level. It's an awful lot to buy for just one game, but you need to remember that these decisions were made at the behest of the greedy developers and publishers of the game. It's not a fault of the game in and of itself. Funniest thing is, the 2 new elements for the game were leaked well before they were supposed to be. Using Hudsicle or Night Shift, you could glitch into the mystery gates, and once inside, Eon's voice line would reveal what the mystery element actually was.
Skylanders of the dark element are stronger in this zone.
Plus, it didn't help that prototypes of Nightlight circulated around the internet after we already knew what the 16 Trapmasters for the 8 original elements were going to look like. You couldn't tell what the element itself was supposed to be from these pictures, but it did spoil the character design itself, and with Nightlight being quite angelic looking, people were guessing that the element had something to do with the light or the sun. I remember originally thinking that the 2 new elements could be Sun and Moon.
But they're Pokemon games, not Skylanders games, you idiot!
And now we're here. It might have took me well over 10 years, but I got every single figurine from this game, including the 3 chase variants. It's funny how for a Skylanders game with the most expansive cast and the largest sheer quantity of things to buy, also had the fewest number of chase variants. But as I digress, all I'm missing are a few trap sculpts. Like all the other games, Skylanders Trap Team did have its distribution struggles. The Yawn traps were never released outside of Australia, making these 3 traps extremely rare and expensive, but this is still an incredible collection, and there is no force in the universe that could make me give them up. I'm eternally grateful to Skylanders Trap Team for 10 years, full to the brim, with laughter, fun, and frustration as well at the sheer difficulty, especially in challenge playthroughs such as Nuzlocke. These might be emotions down either end of the spectrum, but that sharp juxtaposition is what makes this game so special and so memorable. And with that being said, remember to enter the giveaway because this first day of the 12 Days of Skylands is officially coming to an end. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you so much for watching through to the end of this video. I deeply appreciate every last one of you, since it's viewers such as yourself which make these videos possible, and I couldn't do it without all of your unwavering support. If you enjoyed what you just saw, you can click on screen now to watch either my most recent video or a video picked out specifically just for you. You can also access the entire playlist for the video you just watched. I'll be seeing you in the next video, but until that moment arises, peace!